call the meeting to order, and we'll start with a silent prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mrs. Franks,
Mayor Kindle,
present.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino,
Present.
Councilwoman Lyons, not here, Councilwoman Pies,
Present.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Here.
Councilwoman Williams,
Present.
Councilman Tucson,
Present.
Acting City Manager Szymanski,
Here.
and City Attorney DeWally. Here.
Councilwoman Lyons is just coming in.
Oh,
There's shoes.
okay.
All right, we will begin with the swearing in of the new officers.
Awesome. So that's when-
Director Smith?
Actually, we're gonna announce it when we're ready to take pictures.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I want to thank everyone for being patient as we have had a few delays presenting our newest officers to council and residents. However, I'm proud to introduce Officers Vincent Henley and Blake Weaver. Officer Henley was hired as a part-time officer but was offered full-time on August 18th. Officer Henley was raised in Hamtramck and graduated from Hamtramck High School. Vince holds an associate's in applied science criminal justice from Macomb Community College and graduated from Macomb Police Academy in 2020. Vince was highly recommended from previous employers where he is known for his hard work ethic and willingness to make sacrifices to achieve his goals. He is family oriented and has communicated to me that he has interest in working with the youth of the community and becoming a school resource officer in the future. Officer Blake Weaver, who was hired as a full-time officer on August 23rd, 2021, graduated from Memphis High School in 2002. He attended Central Michigan University and graduated from the Wayne County Regional Police Academy in 2015. He distinguished himself in the academy as he graduated number 2 out of 65 cadets. Blake came highly recommended from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, where he worked for 13 years before coming to Harper Woods. He was last assigned to the Tether Unit and was a member of the Special Response Team. Blake studied psychology and states that he really enjoyed his time assigned to mental health floor at the jail. He added that his experience in mental health and education will be an asset to the department as law enforcement makes positive changes when encountering those in crisis. Blake's previous supervisors described him as an honest and straightforward man of good character. Since we are in October, for those like me who love Halloween or a good horror story, Blake is a horror movie fan and in his off time writes short horror stories. Mayor, members of council, and residents, I present Officers Vincent Henley and Blake Weaver.
Come on back here. And if you guys want to just move your chair a little bit. Sure. And then they can take some pictures as well. Stand right in front of the flag. How's that? You want to stand on this side? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Just kind of turn yourself a little bit somewhere you can get a good picture of both of you, okay? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
Public Safety Officer
Public Safety Officer
in and for the City of Harper Woods,
in and for the City of Harper Woods,
County of Wayne,
County of Wayne,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
If anybody would like to come up and have pictures, We can do a quick picture scenario here, family members.
No problem, go ahead. We'll get out of your way.
Something quick.
Up there? Okay. You want it over there or back here?
My mother was ill, so I wish I could have sent her the message. Just shaking.
Are you gonna take it or? Absolutely. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You want to take your mask off? Oh, okay.
Turn it this way. Turn it up.
It's on me.
And take it like this. Yeah, thank you. She said it's on me.
All right, we get just one more. Okay, let's move this one here.
Oh, one more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Proud mom.
My only boy.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Usually we get to shake their hands, but I guess we don't do that right now. All right, I'll just wait.
I'm gonna do one of these.
Okay.
I'm gonna take one of the other guys.
And also, we can, family, you do not have to stay. We'd appreciate if you stayed. Okay? This is something. Can you hear me now? Barely. It's not. It's not really. 'Cause
You're gonna lean in a little bit.
I usually, okay, can you hear me now? No?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I can,
You gotta talk right into it about that far.
okay, now can you hear me?
Sorry, Bob.
All right, so anyone that was here for the swearing in, you're welcome to stay, but you can leave if you like, but I think they already have, so. Okay, we will move on to the approval of minutes. I need a motion. No one, everybody don't have to
Madam
speak at once?
Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Sawicki?
I'll offer the motion, hold on, let me open it, there we go. To receive, approve, and file the minutes of our regular city council meeting held September 20th, 2021, and to receive and file the library board meeting held August 19th of 2021.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Lyons. Discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'm just curious why our special meeting minutes are not here. Is it just too recent, or? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Pressure's on.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a public comment on the agenda items only. Now, that doesn't mean that you discuss what you'd like to. It's just that if you have any questions about the agenda items, and one time, and anyone would like to speak, step up to the podium and give your name.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. It's been quite an exciting year.
Give your name, please.
Oh, David M. Callis, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
If not known by now, I'm a candidate for City Council.
Well,
too.
you know, we're talking for the audience.
In regards to the city manager being on the agenda, are we allowed to make comments or wait for comments to audience?
Yeah, that's an agenda item.
Just an agenda item.
It's already an agenda item.
Okay, I would be quick with it. There was a lot of confusion with the residents when the meeting was. And if I'm understanding correctly from watching the meeting last, a commission screens the candidates. And then, once chosen to select candidates, they come before council for an interview and a vote. It was then stated that they wanted this done quickly because candidates unexperienced, not able to make decisions, not knowing what a CM does. Well, I'd like to erase myself from that equation because I've been here for many years and know what he does. But in either case, how this election turns out, it's still going to be 4-0 to be able to help the new. When it came to, just so you know, Madam Mayor, when it came to the discussion that council had after the motion was made to hold off until the next election, indeed, that is when Mr. Szymanski said that they were immature and this would cause chaos. It was not an attack on him.
What do you're talking about, what meeting are you speaking of?
This is all within the
No, it's
city
simple,
manager.
it's not all among that.
Just agenda item.
That was
Okay.
just an agenda
Okay,
item.
I'll move on to the
So
budget
if you
package.
call the audience, you
Okay.
can speak what you would like to speak at that time. I tried to make that clear in the beginning.
Budget packets. Since we're doing the budget workshop tonight, at the forum, it was stated that council had received their budget packets. As
Absolutely.
you and Mr. Szymanski know, I've written 3 times. One time, I was told that I had to ask council. Another time, I was advised that the packets were not released. A third time, I did not even get a response. Are the residents allowed to see the packets that council does? And being that the last 2 years, which you may have more this year, but the last 2 years, I was the only resident there, and it got confusing to follow where you were sometimes not being able to see the packet. So I didn't know if we were allowed to have that or not.
You want me to
Thanks.
speak on that?
It's not.
Yes, you can speak to it.
The budget packets that you're talking about are just work packets for the council. They're subject to change with this meeting. Those are just estimates. Those are just preliminary figures. They could change several times before we actually adopt a budget in November, and it's privileged material for the council to see them first. Yeah.
Is there anyone else would like to speak to, about the agenda items? Yes, state your name and when you get to the podium.
Good evening. I'm John Shenburn, longtime resident of Harper Woods. I see on the agenda that you have Safe Built on here. Why do we still employ Safe Built when, as far as I'm concerned, they don't do their job? And I will bring that up later on the next one. And we pay them an average of $40,300 or whatever a month. And we turn around, we can't hire somebody, a retiree or whatever, for a lot less with a secretary, and this city could be making money instead of losing money. They do not do their job, period.
All right.
And I can bring up some examples, and I'll bring it up later.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else would like to speak on agenda items?
Excuse me, yes. You know what, Madam Mayor and Council, if I may for just a moment. You know what, Council agenda item number 5, payment to G2 Consulting Group LLC in the amount of $5,618. You know what, I reviewed that invoice and I'm not satisfied with their explanation as far as the cost we incurred on that invoice. So I'm going to ask that be removed from the consent agenda until I can closer look at those numbers.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Withholding payment on number 5,
Madam Mayor?
Under consent agenda.
on the consent agenda. Okay. Yeah.
I'd just like to explain to the audience that this is Bill Snyder, our Director of Public Works.
And I'm sorry to interject this now, but I didn't know when a good time would be, and I'm not satisfied with what they're doing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Snyder, I appreciate it. Okay, if there's no further adjustment to the agenda, we will move on to, well, actually, there's no action on this item for action, for this tabled. And we'll go to the consent agenda, and I need a resolution.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Constantino?
I'll offer the resolution to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4 and 6 through 9.
Support.
Support. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote. Mrs. Franks?
I do have a, never mind. Go ahead.
Sure.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Seeing we have no old business, I'll move this on to H, new business, city manager report.
Mayor and Council, item H1, employment contract city manager. At your September 30th, 2001 special city council meeting, a resolution was passed to extend a conditional offer of employment to the top candidate for city manager, pending an agreement to conditions the city deemed appropriate and necessary. The conditions were not met, and it is now recommended that the process to search for city manager candidates be resumed. Mayor, a motion is required.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman.
I'll offer the motion to resume the process of seeking candidates for the position of city manager for the city of Harper Woods.
Support.
Support. Okay, discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman?
Just to make it clear for the audience as well, that this puts us back to step 1, I believe, doesn't it? We can't just go and, ask Mr. Mays, who was our second, runner-up, so to speak. So if he wants the position, he should reapply for it. Otherwise, it's going out. And I presume we're going to be contacting MML and, however.
We will follow the same procedures that we did the first time around.
All right, thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Williams?
I'm not sure if the city manager can answer this one or not, but I was just wondering what.
I can't hear you, can you?
Yes, I said, I'm not sure if the city manager can answer this or not. I was just wondering what the conditions were.
I can't go into specifics, but I can say that we made a conditional offer of employment pending specific conditions that the city needed. We need a full-time city manager, and I want to say that though the conditions were not met. So that's all I can say at this point, and it was agreed by both parties.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Lyons?
may I ask why we can't just extend the offer to the person who was the second highest vote getter in terms of, who council made a decision on? Or is this just the protocol, or why is this the reason, why do we have to go back to this process that may add more time to something that is, it requires a little bit more expediency?
Yeah.
There's conditions.
You want to answer that, John?
There's, again, we can offer a conditional appointment there pending conditions, but again, the candidate would have to accept those conditions, and it was just thought that since some voted for one candidate, others voted for the other candidate, that we would try the process again, and nobody's excluded from reapplying. We just want to make it fair. There may be somebody else out there.
And also, we heard from a lot of other people say, "Oh, we didn't know the position was open." So we're just opening it back up so that we can maybe get more candidates, and we can go from there with a fresh start. Is there anyone else with further?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Well, I did like Mr. Mays. I do think it's a good idea to open it back up because there, you know, we may find somebody that might be more qualified and may suit the city, and just putting it out there, at least for a little period of time, I think that would just give us more to choose from.
I think so. Thank
Yeah.
you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Is there any opposed?
Nay.
I'm a no too.
Okay. All right, motion carries.
Okay, Mayor and Council, item H2, schedule public hearings, 17,890 and 18,000 Vernier. Mayor and Council, the purpose of this item is to schedule 3 necessary public hearings in conjunction with the proposed Eastland Commerce Center industrial project. The hearings are as follows. 1, establish a commercial redevelopment district. 2, approval of a commercial facilities exemption certificate. And 3, approval of a brownfield plan. I plan to have detailed information at your next meeting with explanation of each of these items. Mayor, a motion is required.
Madam Mayor?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
I recommended action by motion to schedule 3 separate public hearings to be held at the October 20th, 21st at 7 o'clock for the purpose of establishing a commercial development district, approval of a commercial facilities exemption certificate, and approval of a brownfield plan, and further to direct the city clerk to publish a notice of these hearings in accordance with the city charter.
Support.
Support. Discussion.
Madam Mayor, maybe you just might want to clarify for the audience that this is about a little bit more information about the redevelopment and what this means to us as a city. Just
Okay. All right.
Sure.
the city manager might want to.
Sure. This is just to schedule hearings that are necessary with documents and plans that the developers have asked for. We're going into, I want to say, tax abatements. We're going into brownfield plans. We're going into essential services agreements. And these are all the necessary steps required by the state of Michigan to finalize and get it, I want to say, off and running. And again, at your next council meeting, we'll get into the very specifics, but this is just to establish the dates for the hearings.
Madam Mayor?
Is it? Yes.
Yes, I want to comment on that also. Well, I'm glad this is a good time because some people are thinking, well, what's happening with Eastland? I thought it was moving along forward. I haven't heard anything. So now this is a good time to have this so everybody will be able to get a good update to where we're going and can see that it's still moving forward.
It's definitely been moving ahead, but there are certain things that we as a city have to do in order for it to be to completion.
And Madam Mayor, I'd just like to say, for the record, I am concerned about the tax abatements. I mean, the whole point of redeveloping is to get more tax income, and then if you're giving a bunch of tax abatements, how are we going to get that money back that we need for our public safety and such? And we've got our residents assessed at, our max amount, and I really would like to get that revenue in.
Well, I can assure you that we didn't have to give away the farm to buy the cow. So
Okay.
dealing with North Point has been a pleasure in a lot of sense because they have been really responsible corporate partners. You will be surprised at the amount of tax we will be receiving.
That would be excellent to be able to reduce the burden on our residents.
Yes, yes. As soon as this is up and running, we definitely, several different angles, we will be getting money, less money that our residents will be paying. Correct, John?
That's correct. And Mayor, I'd like to add just one more comment, that there are a lot of essential documents that need to be completed before they can get in there, before they can actually abate the asbestos. There is going to be a demolition. The demolition is scheduled for February, and all of these documents and exemption certificates have to be in place before that happens. And yes, we will be getting revenue from this project. It's going to come, I want to say, through 3 parts that will be explained in the future. But all that we're asking for here is a public hearing to get this off of the ground. This is a very unique deal, and I want to say that very few municipalities in the state of Michigan have this. So we're very fortunate to be in this place, and yes, the whole purpose of it is to get tax money so that we could put revenue and services back into the city.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
question, has the Planning Commission completed their work yet on this, or is this preliminary to what they're doing?
This is preliminary to them.
Do we know when the Planning Commission is going to take this up again?
25th.
November? November 3rd.
November
Third.
3rd? Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
Yes, I also wanted to just add that the public, when you come to the public hearings, you are able to talk and speak. And if you're not able to attend the public hearings, you also can submit comments in writing to the city clerk's office. It says before October 18th.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor. And also about the tax abatements, that's just kind of the way of life to a certain extent. If we don't give it to it, some other city would. But we also not giving away the ship, like Madam Mayor said.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call?
Motion.
Motion. All right. I sometimes get it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Mayor and Council, item H3, award of bid, 210 Kelly Road parking lot repair. Attached is a memorandum from the Superintendent of Public Works along with 3 bids that have been submitted for the repair to the parking lot at the Kelly Road building. As the memo states, the repair is necessary due to deteriorating asphalt that would be removed and replaced with concrete. I have reviewed this with him and concur with him and our engineers that the lowest qualified bid be accepted. Mayor, a resolution is required.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, everybody got this.
I think that one's gonna
Hallelujah.
We've wanted this for
Madam
so
Mayor?
Okay,
long.
Councilwoman Pies? Was that
Thank you. I've complained about this enough if you've been here.
Yes.
I'll offer by resolution to accept the bid submitted by L. Anthony in the amount of $18,960 for the removal of asphalt and replacement of 8 inches of concrete in the parking lot of the city-owned building at 2010 Kelly Road.
Support.
Support. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have one thing to say. It's about time.
It's overdue.
Yes. Yes,
That parking lot's so bad, I think one time I fell in the hole and went flying and hit my head on somebody's car.
yes, yes.
It was terrible. We can't expect our residents to keep their cement up if we don't keep ours up, so I'm really excited that we can once again be a good role model.
All right, is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman?
When can we expect to see, groundbreaking, and what would be the timeline for the project?
For asphalt?
Yes,
this,
for just the repaving.
William,
It's set in here October.
when is the christening? Yeah.
Thank you, you know what, yeah, this is.
Yeah, because I have to make an adjustment.
And, you know what, this approval
They're
tonight
having
is
trouble
going
with
to
that.
serve also as a notice for them to proceed. And after conversations with them, they're ready to begin tomorrow. It will be done by the end of October. It will be done by the end of October.
Wonderful. Wow.
On time,
Yes.
on time, and under or at budget.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Snyder. Is there any other further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman
just for
Williams.
clarification, this is for the NEDEC building, right?
Excuse me?
Say for clarification, this is the NEDEC building? Which,
NEDC.
NEDC building?
In the DC building?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, it's a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Definitely yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor and Council, item H4, Beaconsfield Resurfacing Project. Attached is a memorandum from the Superintendent of Public Works transmitting an invoice from the Michigan Department of Transportation for the city's portion of the Beaconsfield Resurfacing Project. As you recall, this MDOT project required a match from the city, and this invoice represents a portion of that cost. I have reviewed this and concur with his recommendation that this invoice be approved. Mayor, a resolution is required.
Madam Mayor?
Councilwoman, was that you Lyons first?
Madam Mayor? Yes. I'll offer the resolution to approve the payment to the Michigan Department of Transportation in the amount of $63,556.23 for the city's proportionate share of the Beaconsfield resurfacing project.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Constantino. Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I presume that the portion of the Beaconsfield project that has taken place already, and that a similar amount will probably come due next year at the end of the second portion. Is that my understanding?
Well, this is a partial payment. You'll probably get an invoice for a final payment once they complete their punch list, I want to say. And next year, the portion of Beaconsfield from Woodland to Vernier is going to be completed.
And this does not cover any of that next year amount, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman.
I was looking through our documents and I don't see what the amount that the grant is covering. Because I know we just are paying a portion of this. We're getting a lot of work for $63,000.
Okay.
Director Snyder, do you have that available?
Yeah, you know what, I just happen to have that with me.
Very convenient.
He has it.
Walking and second.
Yes.
Bill, you're amazing.
You know, the cost of that project was $618,000. The federal funds are paying for the majority of that. The city is paying for, the city's going to be responsible for 18.15% of that amount. And this represents a portion of the city's payment. If you notice on there, this is for like progress payment estimate 2 through 4. I've worked with our engineers and we're still trying to reconcile what happened to invoice number 1. And we'll have 6 and 7 progress payments coming, number 6 and number 7. And you know what, I had to ask the question too, well, how many of these progress payments are we going to keep getting? And the balance due is approximately $59,000. So I got another progress payment today in the amount of $33,000, so it'll be 59 minus the 33. So this is for this phase of the Beaconsfield project. And Kingsville from Woodland is approximately 1/3 of the next section we're going to do. The next section is 2 times the size, so consequently, the cost will be about double for each proportionate section. If that makes sense.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
May I ask? When it comes to the total cost, then, Mr. Schneider, is that, we're looking at the total cost less the amount that we're paying out, or are we going to be billed like with next year's costs? You know what I'm trying to say? Like cement normally will go up. Are we going to have to absorb
There was
those?
an anticipated increase in those costs, and we had already, the council had, I believe, already approved the funding to go forward to kick off the project from Woodland to Gurnview Road.
Right.
So that development is in the works. And what we'll do to try to ascertain the condition of the concrete underneath that asphalt surface is we're going to take core samples. And you know what? That's a good thing, but it's only a very small snapshot of the condition of the pavement at that specific location. So while we've anticipated X number of dollars for repairs, sometimes that could be more, or, you know, pleasingly, sometimes that could be less.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Yes. Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Costantino.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay. Mayor and council, item H5, election of Board of Directors, Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool. Attached is a notice from the Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool regarding the annual election of their Board of Directors. I recommend that we cast our votes for those persons submitted on the ballot. Mayor, a motion is required.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
I recommend the motion to cast the city's vote for the following persons to serve on the Board of Directors of the Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool. Robert Clark, Mayor of City of Monroe. Thad Beard, Manager, City of Rockford. Dan Swallow, Manager, City of Tecumseh.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam, that concludes the city manager's reports.
Okay, we'll call the audience, one time only, and
3
3
minutes.
minutes. And this time, if we're able to answer your question will be answered in this forum. It was brought to my attention that it seemed unfair that we did not respond to you, but if we're able to respond, we will respond. And it could be any member on here, but we will not get into an argumentative type conversation. So if it becomes that way, I will hit the gavel, and if you do not shut up or be quiet, I will ask you to leave the room. Okay, so first person first. You had your hand up first, and please tell your name. We do not need you to do your address.
21401 Bournemouth, 61 years.
Please,
And I've been doing a lot of research about the year 1964 because my dad passed away then, and something came up, and I just want to read this to you. And this is a law, and I was surprised about this. And it goes like this: New York Times Company versus Sullivan 1964, 376 U.S. 254. The Supreme Court reversed a liable damages judgment against the New York Times. The decision established the important principle that the First Amendment guarantees of freedom of speech and press may protect libelous words about a public official in order to foster vigorous debate about you and public affairs. Justice William J. Brennan, Jr. opined that the debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and said vehement criticism and even mistakes were part of democracy. A democratic society must pay for freedom. It went along and said, this is Justice William J. Brennan of the Supreme Court, said, any public official that takes office may be questioned. And if I get in an argument with you vigorously, it doesn't matter unless we libel each other or we say something that's not true or whatever. Now, it goes on to say in this law, it said the advertisement had gotten the wrong number of times Mr. Martin Luther King was arrested. And the last part of the thing says, the landmark decision constitutionalized libel law and arguably saved, and this is the most important part, the civil rights movement. This is a law. So according to what you have here, from here down, you're breaking the law. What you just said at the beginning, you just said, any person, whoa, excuse me.
Kind of excited.
Any person in public office can be questioned one by one, and you must answer the questions. This is 1964, and I looked to see if this has ever been changed, and this is still a law. The Supreme Court law. This is of the United States. Now, the second thing I'd like to say is, I want to know if all of you are prejudiced against a city manager right now. You got him right there. Make him an offer. I know he keeps saying he doesn't want the job. Because we go through this so much, you make it so fast. Because I heard one of the city council people say, let's get this done, get it over with. You've got to take your time, get the right person. Because the last one we had wasn't the right one. We had the one before, he was good. So was Lideline. Because the reason I'm saying this is because they hired, and I can't remember if this is his name, it was Gary Ford, and he was our police chief. He went off on a disability in this city, and I don't know if he's still collecting it, but then he went to work for Farmington or Farmington Hills. So that's what I'm saying. We went and hired that guy so fast, and then we got, excuse my language, we got screwed in the long run. So that's what I want to know, why you're so in a hurry to get a city manager. If he doesn't want to keep him on, he knows more about the city than anybody.
All right, John, that's it.
I thank you for that, but he is best as a financial director. We are first time in many, many years in the black, and that's because of John's ability to find money, disseminate money, and do what he does best with the finance. He has been doing a yeoman's job for these past months, but it's time for him. We really, truly need him as a city to concentrate on the monies that have come available. He needs to concentrate on that so we get the dollars here. And that is why we were trying to get a city manager in here. So I know John has our best interest and the heart for whatever it takes, and he's been doing that. But we as citizens need him doing what he does best, and that's getting the money. Correct, John?
I try.
And let the people know you're not interested, or
No,
you're interested.
I'm interested in being the city's finance director and treasurer. We need somebody in here to actually physically do the work. And we have some very specific things that we will work hand in hand on. I will certainly support a city manager that the council hires and do my best, but as the mayor said, my heart's in making sure that the city is in better shape than what I inherited going on 6 years ago.
All right. Mr.
Michael Dick, 23 years in Harper Woods, 18575 Eastwood Drive. I would still like to offer this placard to the acting city manager, just because I feel offended that he doesn't have a nameplate sitting in front of him. So we know who to appropriately yell at. If he won't take it, anyway, thank you. I'd also like to thank the Mayor Kindle, without a doubt, especially with your comments in the Insider with regards to the Public Act 33, I believe it was, regarding the special assessments and whatever, and how it hit us like a ton of bricks because of the amount of increase in population. Thank you for at least putting it in the storefront window, what we're up against, the monies involved, and the amount of people that we would actually have to hack and lay off. Thank you for putting it in the storefront window. With the redevelopments at Eastland, I just wanted to say that I think in this outlet here, it said that there was a Dollar General by the Jimmy Jazz. Is that not the Family Dollar?
That's a separate parcel.
Okay, the only reason why I ask is because they're planning on splitting it and trying to do it the best they can. Once again, collection of taxes, less burden for the residents and what have you, for the taxpayers. I didn't know if it was a Family Dollar or Dollar General because one of them is expected to move across 8 Mile into the Pier 1 facility.
That's Dollar Tree.
So it is two different entities.
It's two different.
Thank you. I just thought we were losing one and moving it across the
No,
street.
Family Dollar is one company, Dollar General is another company, and Dollar Tree is another company.
Okay, it was the Family Dollar that's actually in East.
Family Dollar is the one that's right next to Jimmy Jam's.
I got that, but it was just it said Dollar General in this.
Okay.
Okay, as long as it's clarified, as long as we're getting another business where we might be able to collect some more
Yes.
Tax dollars and whatever. And lastly is unfortunately, it's my problem because I live close to Kelly on Eastwood Drive. Like I said, 23 years. The Sunoco station on the corner, once again, has defiled the noise ordinances and what have you. And also when they use their blower, and I mean, it's loud enough to hear for a block or two, and they blow all their litter from that Sunoco station. They blow it out to Kelly. They blow it out to the adjoining commercial properties. I've called, unfortunately, and I hate calling the police. I've had to do it to try to get them to give you written a citation. Just keep your eyes on there. The owner market seems to not care. I do care. I care about the noise, and I care about them dispersing their litter onto other properties. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me pick up my...
Yes, please.
That would be...
Aren't you gonna put it up there in front of them?
There you go.
There you go.
It's only a few months too late.
All right, there anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ann Kafkas.
Can you speak in the mic so everyone can hear you?
21175 Norwood Drive. Can you hear me?
Barely.
No.
Can you
Okay.
take the mask off?
Ann Kafkas, 21175 Norwood Drive. I wanted to ask you about the Eastland redevelopment. First of all, if we are going to receive tax revenue money, are we going to be able to have recycling reinstated for all the residents in Harper Woods?
The recycling, I want to say recycling is something people like here, but it's too expensive and it's not profitable. And even though people are separating their recyclables, what's occurring at the dumping grounds is that they're mixing it right with the regular trash, and they're charging this community almost $15,000 a month for that service, and they're treating it the same that they would treat garbage. You would be separating it, but when it gets on the trucks and it goes to the dumps, it's all getting dumped in the same pits, And again, you know, that's something that we don't have any control over. And to pay extra and to assume that the residents of the city should pay extra for that, it's just not fair, and they're not getting what they're paying for.
How does St. Clair Shores and Grosse Pointe handle this?
I have no idea what they're doing out there.
Well, it might be worth it to find out.
Well, but it's still the same thing that's happening. They're just going to the same, I want to say it's getting commingled. It's getting commingled.
Okay, I had to call the recycling company today, actually. There's a paper bin behind Beacon School on Beaconsfield.
I think that that's something, but Councilwoman
I don't know about the paper bin.
There's a paper bin there. It's been there for quite a while.
And is it getting picked up?
Well, it's been bursting. It's full. And we asked the janitor at the school. He said that they weren't going to pick it up. I called the school. The secretary wasn't sure, so I called the company today. And when I called the City of Harper Woods, Department of Public Works, she said it's not my job.
Right. It isn't. I mean, it's
Well,
a different company.
Yeah, well.
And what did the company say?
They said that they're going to schedule it for Wednesday, a pickup.
Well, that may be something we can look
May I
into.
speak to the recycling issue?
Right.
I know, and I don't know if I've answered your question in the past. I don't know if you were the lady who got in touch with me or not. But the problem with recycling, large-scale recycling, is that there's nowhere for the recycled materials to go, because our country does not have the support mechanisms to turn that raw material into recycled goods, and people are not purchasing the recycled goods the way that's necessary to hold up that business. Now, according to what I understand from the current administration in Washington, is that they hope to get businesses interested in turning plastics into, recycled goods, glass into glass products. But right now, what used to happen, and you probably are aware of this, is that the United States, along with Canada and some other countries, were sending our raw recycled materials abroad, where it was often going to India or to China. And several years ago, China and India closed their borders to recycled materials. And ever since then, there has not been a market for where to send recycled goods. Well, we learned as a council that our recycled materials, when they'd be picked up in the bins, they were going to the landfill.
Right.
They were going the same place that our garbage was going, but we were paying a premium amount to have them sent there. Our garbage hauler was not recycling, even though they called themselves recycling, because there was nowhere for the recycling to go. And so there are some smaller places. Recycle Here in downtown Detroit works with Center in Hamtramck. There's a Hamtramck recycling facility that takes the recycled materials in small quantities, and they're able to process some of these materials. And so I encourage residents to go to Recycle Here. I don't have the address on me, but I think it's on Lincoln Street. And they're set up to take Detroit recycling, but I spoke with them personally, and they told me that they would accept recycling from Harper Woods. They just hoped that residents would give them a few dollars. They ask $3 to $5 so that they can, use money from outside of Detroit to help to process that material. So Recycle Here will take that material. I've also looked into the idea of having some sort of a facility here, and we just don't have the room where we could dedicate space to collecting recycled materials and sending them to some processing center like Hamtramck. So I strongly encourage anyone interested in recycling to go to Recycle Here. They do, have it's a
I've been there.
cool
I know
facility.
what recycle here is.
All
What I'm
right.
saying is Harper Woods has an opportunity to maybe create an industry statewide. You're talking about the national level. We could do this statewide if we pooled our resources together and to do something like that. The other thing I want to mention is my family's been here for 68 years, so I know a lot about Harper Woods.
Madam Mayor?
I remember when our sidewalks were plowed. Is it possible that the city could provide a listing of snow removal contractors to residents so we know who to call, so that we can have our snow removed since our sidewalks aren't cleared anymore? I think that should be provided to residents. The last thing I want to mention is with the redevelopment of Eastland, will Home Depot remain and will Lowe's remain?
Yes.
And McDonald's.
Madam Mayor, if I may?
Yeah.
Mrs. Kafka, I know that you asked a question about recycling, and I think that in some ways, your best bet would probably be to, write to our state senators and our state reps, because they're the ones who actually have the power to change this at the state level. And right now, actually, Senator Ollier, who represents this area, and Senator Stephanie Chang are actually working on a lot of environmental legislation they're really trying to work closely with the governor's office to be able to push for more extended producer responsibility, among other things that can really help move the needle forward in terms of changing the law. So that extended producer responsibility is actually going to be the way that we can, on the local municipal level, advocate for the businesses to do their part to step up. And I think that's definitely the future of recycling in Harper Woods.
I've written to Governor Whitmer. She set up a commission. It's called EAGLE, Environmental Recycling.
I hate to cut you off, but we did say 3 minutes, and there's other people. So
Okay. All right.
if you care to have a conversation with anyone after the meeting, please feel free to do that. But
Okay,
we're
thank
going to try to keep it to the time frame so everyone that wants to speak has an opportunity. Thank you. Mr. Callis, I saw your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. David M. Callis, 55-year resident here. Mr. Szymanski, I don't know how you've been holding all the hats you have for the amount of time you have, and I do give you a lot of credit for that, because, CM is a 24/7 job as it is, so I got to give you a lot of credit. I am very excited to hear that the NEDC is finally getting a parking lot replaced, because I have a bad hip and I stepped out of my vehicle and fell into one of those big holes myself, so I'm very excited to hear that. There was discussion, unfortunately, with the Beaconsfield project. Perfect project, but unfortunately my driveway was one of the ones where the road was up 5 inches over my driveway. So the reason why I missed that last meeting was because I didn't get any notice and they tore apart my approach and I couldn't get out. But the signage, the new signage with, the Beaconsfield and the name of the side streets, they're so much bigger and you can see them. And it's really, really nice to see how much that worked out really well. As far as the city manager goes, and I understand a lot's going on there with the fast track, and I understood what was said. When the motion was made to ask for it to be postponed until after the election, there was discussion, and I think there was a misunderstanding because that is where the chaos and comments came up. And I don't think it was council beating on Mr. Szymanski at all. And I'm hoping with only 3 meetings left, and being we're starting the process now, that maybe that will be decided wait till next year. The city charter, I heard in the last meeting, brought up many times again. And I've been scolded several times for using the word changes, and I heard it several times. Changes I know costs a lot more money, and the revisions don't. And then with the Department of Public Safety, that was correct. Twice we voted down no, and then it was done anyways, but really never explained to us what happened there. Also, just so it's known for the ordinances. The code of ethics is in our ordinances, but so is the city manager. And the city manager part of our ordinances is awful sexist because it says he. Every other line assuming it would be a man instead of a woman, which back then could have been the case. So I wanted to point that out to you. I'm excited about the new project coming with North Point. I would like to congratulate our new officers. I'm very happy to see that. And I also want to remind everybody about the NEDC, CRLE, NEED, the fireman workshop that is coming on October 7th this week. It plans to be very educational, and it's going to be a fun workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? All right, in order, Mr. Selburn, good to see you. Maybe I won't say that, huh?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay.
My name is Brian Selburn. I live on Woodcrest. I've been there for closing in on 40 years. My wife's been a resident here, closing in on 70 years. Over the weekend, I received this. Now you're going to hear the opposing point of view. It is extremely disappointing, Mrs. Kindle, to see you stating a political opinion in a tax-supported publication.
Okay.
Urging residents to write their representative in support of amending PA 33. Well, there are some of us who don't support that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if I were to write a letter like this, if the city would print it and distribute it to every resident here in the city. I doubt it. I think it may be time for a little bit of a history lesson, because some people seem to have amnesia. We haven't always qualified for PA 33. There was a time when the population in Harper Woods was over 15,000. It wasn't that long ago. It was during the so-called Great Recession, 07, 08, 09, when there were so many foreclosures that we lost population. People were forced to leave the city. They took their families, they went wherever they could. And the city seized the opportunity to assess the residents outrageously. It started out reasonably low millage. I think it was maybe 4 or 6 or 8 mills, and it kept rising every year. And there were people on council that would say, oh, we're so sorry, we have to do this, but we're going to make it we're going to get out of this as quickly as we can. And we're going to stop. Or we're going to try to take less, lower the millage. Then came that split where somebody decided that it could be done 2 times, one for police and one for fire. Originally, nobody thought that way, but somehow somebody came up with a legal opinion that it could be split that way. I disagree with that, but be that as it may. PA 33 is supposed to be for police and fire, not staff from finance and treasury, not all these part-time employees, and certainly not the district court, which I believe has its own funding source. And I understand you just play a shell game where you take the general fund money that would have gone towards police and fire and you redirect it toward these other activities. But we saw through that years ago, and we still do. But technically it's for police and fire. So to say you're going to lose all these other positions is really misleading. It's disappointing that the council never anticipated that our population would rise again above 15,000. I don't know why they thought it wouldn't, but I kind of sat back saying it's going to eventually. It was there before, and it'll get there again as soon as people start buying some of these foreclosed houses, moving families in with children, and boom, there goes the population. It rises again. There was no planning, no preparation for such an eventuality. And to now say that you'll move cautiously optimistic on the budget of 2022 is just totally lacking in any foresight. If you think that the state is going to amend this, I believe they will not. I think that when somebody takes a very close look at this, they're going to say, wait a minute, if we raise this population threshold, that's a new tax on all those cities between 15,000 and 25,000. That's a new tax. A very good argument can be made that violates Headley. And I think that the legislature will see through that and say, we're not going down that road. So to sit here and think that you're going to get this thing amended is really kind of daydreaming. And you people should be planning. You should be looking to find ways to resolve budget issues. You're going to have to talk to the unions. You're going to have to ask them for concessions and see wherever you can cut corners. I still remember a comment by our former mayor one night when he was talking about the police contract, and he made a comment like, oh, well, we gave them their usual 3%. Just casually said that. That, of course, is coming from a strong union person. But that can't be the attitude. And something needs to be done to get things under control. But I am tired, and I'm glad that it's coming to an end, because I'm tired of being in a community that taxes its residents higher than probably any other community in Wayne County, maybe even in the state of Michigan. Our tax is so high, the millage that we have to suffer under is so high that it's really a burden. So I hope that it does not, the legislature does not amend it, and I'm disappointed that a political opinion like that was allowed to be put into this tax-supported publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone? Okay, gentlemen, yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel McBride. I live down the street on Eastwood, and had a problem. A little over a week ago, I was in my garage with my door up, and I happened to look to the right of me, and there was a big rat ran across my garage. So the neighbor to the right of me, I mentioned to him, and his comment, well, I haven't seen him yet. So I'm saying, okay. So I'm looking in the backyard, and it's got a lot of growth. Great for something like that to build a home, to live in, and so on. So today I called down here to the city, and they said called DPW. I called down there and I explained it to the person that I talked to, and they said that they don't do this. Go to Home Depot and buy rat ports. And I'm saying, what is the city we living in? Even because I've called and said do the city of Harperwood supply rat pods to get rid of rats, or do they come out and look in the backyard and see where their living. And the person that I spoke to said, "You on your own. Go to Home Depot and buy red ports." And I didn't like that comment. I didn't like it. I keep my property up. I keep it clean. I keep all of the debris and stuff from it. And I think everybody else should do the same, and we won't have the problem. I moved here in 2010, and that was the first rat I ever seen. Because the person before that would take his lawnmower and cut all of the debris and kept it clean, where they wouldn't have a home to live in. So that was one question. And another problem I was getting to, I think I was here a year or so ago. I spoke to the gentleman about it. I spoke to the councilman about it. I stay on Eastwood between Beaconfield and Kelly. And during the summer, and sometime now it's slowing down a little bit maybe because of the weather. But sometimes I feel like I'm on a freeway. They come down speed. And I spoke to the gentleman about it a year or so ago. And it's a Dodge Charger, which probably a demon flies down there. Then a lot of more cars come at speed. And then I got to hear my relatives and the guys I work with, "You live in Hopper Woods on the same street that the police department live on, and you got people speeding like they're on the freeway." And those are the two complaints that I think should be addressed. And I don't know what can the city council do about it, because if you don't do something about it, you're gonna look up, we're gonna have more, I'm gonna see more than one rat. So far, I only seen one. But if you don't do something about it and I can't say that it came from I can say it came from the right of me, but I can't say where the home is at. But if it don't be cleaned up and cleared away, they don't travel alone. They got a family, and then they got family in their family. You're gonna look up, I'm gonna have more problem, and my neighbor's gonna have problems, so I don't know what we can do about it.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Would you address him regarding the city policy on?
Years ago, the city did, through our community development department, we did package and pass out rat bait and poison, and it came with proper handling instructions. But something like that is such a safety sensitive issue. Folks would leave it lying around, and the kids would get a hold of it, or their cats would get a hold of it. They would have poisoned their neighbor's dog or cat. The liability is significant, so the city's not in the habit of providing that. But what we will do is we'll visit the property. I usually do that personally, and I'll take a look, not just at your home, but the surrounding homes, and it would be over on Old Homestead also. Because rats need, they're like people, they need food, clothing, and they need food and shelter and hardware. So if you take away those places for rats to live, and you take away a food source, you can discourage them from being there. Now, you're never going to, and I hate to say this, you're never totally going to eradicate rats. I've watched a lot of movies on rodents and critters and varmints, and it makes great midnight, late night TV when they're this big coming out of sewers in New York. But they're here, and we can hope to control them. Are we going to kill every rat? It's unrealistic. I would never say that we're going to, but we can control them. They said if there were to be a nuclear holocaust, there's two things that would survive: cockroaches and rats. So that just kind of is a testament to their survival, if you will, their adaptation to survive. They can eat concrete. They love dog feces. This time of year, their gardens are trees are dropping fruit in their vegetable gardens, falling down in the garden. What we encourage residents to pick that up daily along with the flowers. Don't feed the birds this time of year. So there's things we can do to help ourselves, and we empower our residents through education on how to do that. So hopefully
Thank you. Mr. Selwyn and then Mr., yeah, you.
My name is John Shenburn. I live on Ross Common between Lansdowne and Beaconsfield. And at 19146, and unfortunately I apologize, used to be my house. I sold it to an investor who told me he was going to flip it, has turned it into an Airbnb. Now I spent the night from hell on Saturday. We called, and me, a couple other neighbors, the police officer and the chief can attest to that. And it was just one party. The people were taking and pulling up. The people would run out. They'd leave, the car would leave. When the police would show up, they'd jump inside, close the door, turn off the lights. Sometimes it's the owner. A lot of times they rent this for a party. We even get Whippet. Do you guys know what Whippet is? That's those little CO2 cartridges that the kids are using for drugs. Okay? So it's turned into a nightmare, and it makes me really, really sad that I did this. Okay? There is an investment group that owns it. Okay? Now, I have a friend in scouting who manages quite a few of them, a lot of them in Ferndale, and they have cameras on these. They do not allow that stuff to go on, okay? What needs to be done by the city is to send, and I have the investment group here, I was told by the officer, why don't I contact them? Well, that's not gonna do me any good. He's just gonna go, the city needs to send him a letter. And I'm sad that you didn't do this thing that got tabled tonight, because we need control of these Airbnbs, okay, or you're going to get more of them. And these young, African-American adults are the ones that are renting these, and they bring the party to us instead of doing a hotel or in their own neighborhood, okay? We got a lot of things going on at the south end, including a drive-by the other week between Lansdowne and Lang, which I reported. And it lasted till 9:30 that evening. We've got a lot of stuff happening down at this end. We need this. Now, the other thing is, the reason I said about Safe Built, when I owned that property, this city was all, excuse my language, all over my ass about it, the property, okay? Including the driveway, which has not been repaired. It's the same thing in a rental. You're all over the landlords for it. That's why Safe Built is not doing their jobs. This guy, I don't believe, and I've called Safe Built, has not pulled any permits for everything that he had done. The roof, they remodeled the inside, put new furnace, air conditioning. They made the bedroom in my little enclosed porch into a third bedroom, which the city needs to investigate to raise the evaluation of it, okay? And I don't believe that's been done. And he gets $165 a night. 2/3 of the time, it's parties. We do get him some nice people that are here for fishing tournaments. Whether you know it or not, we're famous all over the United States for our tournaments here in fishing. And that's who usually rents it. There's 3 or 4 boats with a car or a truck there sometimes, but not very often, okay? And a lot of times, the owner's people use it. Now, there's a camera at the doorbell. And there's a person supposed to be monitoring this place. Okay? Because you can walk up and you could talk to that person on that. But they're not monitoring for these parties. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. I don't know why, like I said again, safe built, we need to get rid of them. We had 2 gentlemen that were retired, that weren't getting benefits, that were doing the job, and 1 secretary. $43,000 a month times 12 is what? Do the math. This city is losing money instead of making money off of that project. And that's what we get, like, I think it's 1/3 of that, of the before that.
Yeah.
So I want to know what you're going to do and why you haven't brought this thing forward. That's my question right now.
Your question is, once again, what did you say?
I said, you tabled this deal on the second reading of adopting ordinance to regulate these places.
City Attorney, would you like to address that?
Yes, that matter's been referred to the ordinance committee. They want to discuss it further. There's some points in there that still need to be discussed in terms of zoning and matters of that. But as the ordinance stands right now, parties are not allowed in short-term rental.
Well, then you need to let the police know that so they can stop it.
It's not an ordinance, sir.
Pardon me?
It's not an ordinance yet. It has to be passed by council. It has not
Okay.
been passed by council. But I would strongly encourage you, if there's parties going on, to certainly contact the police department.
Well, our police are so thin, and they do their best. And there's only so much that they can do.
Okay, if you want to share the address with the city manager, he will look into it.
It's 19146, Ross Common.
And you said you have the name of the...
I'll give him
Give it
the
to him.
LLC.
Mhm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and agree.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Van. I stay at 20438 Lennon Street in Hopperwood, Michigan. And it's probably been brought up before, but I just want to make sure, about the water meters. Thank you, John, for what you did. I haven't had a water bill like that since then, but I appreciate what you did when you took, a $600 water bill for one month was ridiculous. I did, but after that, I never had a water bill since like that. So I don't know what I can do about, trying to recoup some of my money. I know you cut it in half, but I feel like, there should have been more of an investigation instead of Nikki telling me that I stay, all these people that stay in my house, since I stay next to that group home. That's all I have to say about it. Oh, I want to say one thing. The gentleman right here, we're not going to do nothing about them rats. I got those next door to me. What I do is set our trap.
Huh? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that wanted to speak? One time only. Yeah, please. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? If not, we will call to audience. I'm sorry, to council. And we'll start with Councilwoman Constantino.
Few things, couple responses. Rats, see me after the meeting. I got this down. Ever since we redid the sewers some years ago, there has been rats, and we used to have a bunch of feral cats, but they all got taken to the vet and either adopted out or put to sleep if they were sick. So ever since we got rid of the feral cats, the rats have been taking over the universe. But I have a tried and true method. See me afterwards. Okay.
Share it now.
What can you share?
All right, fine. All right, I'll share it. Okay. First of all, there's a rat expert over at Gilbert's Hardware. Don't go to Home Depot. Go to Gilbert's, okay? Plus, they're locally owned. and she knows all the stuff. And they have these rat traps, and you can get these rat pellets and just throw them all over the place. And what they do is when the rats take it, they dehydrate, and then also they take it back to their nest. And so that helps with that. The rat pellets, you can set rat traps. There's all different kinds of rat traps, but I personally have caught at least a half dozen rats in the last couple of years. So mostly over on Danbury Lane, believe it or not. When I used to live there, there was a bunch of them there, and also at my rentals. So the other thing is, you just have to take a multi-approach. But those pellets are really pretty good. And the thing is, when the rats die, they dehydrate. And so that you don't get the smell as bad as like if you use regular rat poison. And so
But don't you have to be careful about your pets?
okay, well here's the thing. They have these little rat houses, okay?
Yeah.
And they have like a little U shape or a different shape. Your house pets cannot get in there. So if you fill them, if you put the pellets in there and then you refill them. Also, rats eat, I hate to say it, dog poo. To them, that's like a Snickers, okay? You have to clean up after your dogs every day. Every day. You think, oh, I'll get it tomorrow, or I'll leave it another day. Nope. They've already been having a snack. So water sources, if you have a water source, they're going to do that. They're going to, enjoy that as well. So you have to be careful about leaving brush and leaves. If you leave a pile of twigs or a pile of leaves, guess what? That's their house. Also, if you have a hole under your porch or under a deck or something, they're going to burrow under there, and they're going to make that their home. So you have to really look and see where if you're providing housing, if you're not cleaning up after your dogs, if you are not cleaning up your leaves, if you're not cleaning up your twigs, if you've got stuff piled against the back of your garage or wherever else, you are contributing to the problem. So you need to clean up everything after yourself. You cannot leave a bunch of junk laying around. You've got to clean it all up. And if you see where they're burrowing or wherever, throw some poison pellets right in there too. You just got to go at it like 100% and just keep going at it. And eventually, you might find the dead rat in your driveway or something like that. That's okay.
Excuse me?
Okay, just see me after the meeting, okay?
Yeah.
But you've really got to go after bird feeding the birds too. That's also a huge problem. So you can't do that. I mean, you might be, it might be lovely to feed the birds, but you're also feeding the rats. Okay, back on track. Airbnbs, there's one by my house, total problem. We are addressing this at the ordinance committee meeting. All right, our acting city manager, we had discussed the possibility of having an ordinance meeting on October 11th. Is that happening?
Leslie?
We've got to have a meeting. I've been calling for this meeting for a year and a half. We've got to have the meeting. Are we going to have it that night?
Is October 11th an off-council meeting?
Yes, that's next Monday.
Are you going to require an
Budget
additional budget meeting, the budget workshop? Because that's when the budget workshop is scheduled, if
Right.
necessary.
Well, we could have the ordinance meeting at 6. And then if we have to have a budget meeting, we can have it at 7. If not, then we can just take care of this business. Because there's a lot of business we need to take care of, and this is ridiculous how long this has been going on. Okay, now my most important announcement. Where'd the chief go? He just walked out. Can you see if he's out there? October 7th, right here at our fire department, we are having a fire safety workshop for Fire Safety Week. This has been in the works for 2 years, so we finally get to have it. A lot of it's going to be in the ambulance bay and outdoors, so it'll be less of, the spread of COVID. We're only allowing 40 participants. Oh, here he is. Chief, would you like to talk about the round robin that we're going to be having, the fire safety week? While he's on his way up, I'll just tell you, we're going to break it up into small groups so that, you're not crowded, but he can tell you all about it.
We're going to have fire extinguisher use for those that don't know how to use fire extinguishers. We'll have a mock pit with a live fire, so you can practice that. The firefighter will teach you different types of fire extinguishers. Stop the bleed, which is tourniquet training. So that'll be it. Fire safety in the house. We'll have a firefighter teach that, and we have the smokehouse to teach you about, how smoke overtakes you in the house and what to do. So that'll be worthwhile. It's a good refresher for some. Seventh from 6:30 to 8:30.
Yep, 6:30 to 8:30. You can sign up online. Is that on our site, sir?
Yes, it is.
It's an event.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's an Eventbrite. You can sign up online or maybe see the chief or somebody after the meeting.
Okay.
We have quite a few of the members here. So that is really exciting. I know, I'm sorry that it's limited to only 40 people, but you can still sign up. And you never know, you could save somebody's life.
Okay.
So I hope you can participate. We need our regular people who are at our meetings regularly to know how to do these things, so that if something happens at a public event, you can handle it. So, thank you all.
Mr. Toussaint,
No comments today.
Councilwoman Lyons.
Yes, to reiterate the Fire Safety and Fire Prevention Week workshop that we're hosting, people are encouraged to sign up via the Eventbrite link, and that is the way that we're going to be tracking who's signing up, and there are prizes, giveaways, and food for that event. And as it was mentioned, it went out in a nixle, so there should be a link for the Eventbrite to sign up for that as well, as the NEDC website and then the city website, so that you can get the prizes, and in addition to learning all about fire safety, fire prevention. Some of the other things I wanted to mention were the week before last, council members were able to attend the Michigan Municipal League's convention, the annual convention, and I just wanted to mention some things I said I would come back and report on. There were lots of workshops that were really informative for the community, particularly concerning diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and the discussions around how communities can continue to move the needle forward when it comes to having discussions on equity and inclusion. In addition, there were workshops on master planning for cities and municipalities to fully understand what it takes to really make our city its best, live up to its best potential. And then there were also lots of workshops that dealt with environmentalism and recycling and sustainability commissions and ways that citizens can participate in, just having the power to, really advocate for lessening the impact of our carbon footprint right here in our own backyards. So those are just some of the things I wanted to report back on after attending the conference in Grand Rapids. And yes, I just wanted to also say that it's exciting to have an ordinance committee meeting happening now again, so that is all I have to say on the reports from Councilwoman Lyons. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Pies.
Thank you. As usual, I've got a lot to say. First, I'd like to start off mentioning that the Grosse Pointe Animal Adoption Society will be hosting our canine fundraiser, our annual one. It's a spaghetti dinner. Just like last year, because of COVID, it will be a drive-through. It will be held at AMVETS on October 21st, 4 to 7 p.m. And mini Kaisers will be available. I forgot to bring one with me. It's a little stuffed animal wearing Harper Woods canine outfit. Also,
October, what date is that? We
October
can't hear you.
21st,
October 21st?
4 to 7 p.m. at AMVETS. You'll enter from westbound Allard into the lot.
Cost for the dinner?
Is that it?
I wasn't told, I
Oh, okay.
haven't discussed that yet. Thank you. Also, last week I received an unsigned letter. I think my other colleagues here did. I don't know if it was the same letter or not. I cannot take seriously anyone who doesn't believe in their own views enough to sign a letter to me. If you would like a response from me, please include your name, include some contact information. This person told me what they are not, who they are not. That doesn't tell me who they are, and I need to address concerns, specific concerns. So please add your name to your letters, sign it. Also, I was glad to learn last week that our mayor, our city manager, our director of public safety, Mr. Smith, went to Lansing to advocate for PA 33. Or I'm sorry, well, for that, but it's a passage of a House Bill 4281, which addresses the population threshold for police and firefighting. I believe that's going to come up soon. I'm not sure if I understand correctly, if it will be up for a vote. I'm on a mailing list for the local House Local Government and Municipal Finance Standing Committee, and I received notification that there would be a meeting this Wednesday at noon regarding the House bill. So I'm hopefully hearing more about that soon. I don't know that they'll raise the limit too much. I suspect they'll raise it just enough to make some of us breathe easier for a moment. Also, in regards to city manager interviews going forward or reaching out, I would like it if we could contact the Michigan Municipal League 1650 project. The 1650.
We already have.
You have? Okay,
yes,
then I'll just explain it.
That didn't necessarily, that was a part of the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll explain what the 1650 project is for the audience.
It's not that we didn't do our due diligence for it. It's just that was the response we got.
Then I will explain what it is. It's a Michigan Municipal League, several years ago, started a program called the 1650 Project. It's based on the fact that there are 50% of the population here in Michigan is women, but only about 16% make up leadership roles and city managers here in the state. So it's a training program. It's a year-long training program for women interested in pursuing city management positions or other higher positions such as that. So it's called the 1650 Project. But apparently they've been contacted previously as well, so I'm glad we're keeping that in mind. The Michigan Municipal League conference. I was there for one day. I was really fortunate to be able to moderate a panel, although it turned out to be one person, for the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion workshop that day. It was a equity officer from Jackson, and unfortunately I can't remember his last name right now, Mr. Wills, but he's a great resource and someone we can always be in touch with if we have any more questions about how to work towards an official position, perhaps, or consulting here for Harper Woods. And we hear complaints about the gas station a lot, Sunoco, and we hear about them a lot. So why do we keep hearing about them? Can we do anything more than, can we take them to court, or are they just paying their fines so that we can't take them to court, or, I don't know, is that?
I'll check into that.
Okay, thanks. And,
District court level, all we have is the ability to fine, and if they pay their fines, that's what we do.
so we can't do anything really beyond that much then.
If they pay the fine, it's kind of like you can speed again and get another ticket.
Okay.
3
okay.
strikes, you're out, man.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes, a couple of things came up at the meeting tonight that I just wanted to address. And the first is a question about whether the city could put out a list of providers for snow removal companies. And I don't think the city wants to get into that type of a business, you know, because then people who were dissatisfied with a company might blame it on the city for having them on their list. Instead, companies, I know that we have some companies in Harper Woods that do that sort of business, but I know that you can get lists of people like painters and home repair and this sort of thing from Gilbert's Hardware. I don't know if they do a list of landscapers or snow removal, but I know the city is best not to get into that kind of a business, supporting one company over another. I also wanted to mention that my concern with rat poisoning are pets, and I know there are pet-safe rat poisons that are available. One is named Rat X, but there is also a do-it-yourself formula for creating a Rat X type of poison. It's basically salt, so it's only going to injure rats and mice, and it's not going to injure house pets. And so you can look that up online. I believe it's at a website called DIYnatural.com. But Rat X is commonly available, and that purports to not harm pets. But everybody else has heard, you know, the whole 9 yards about how you need to keep things clean. And basically that's it. Also for the city attorney, I know I blurted it out, but I know that we have an ordinance that's like a 3 strikes kind of an ordinance, you know, a common offender. And it sounds as if, you know, Sunoco is, you know, constantly paying the fines, but they're not changing their...
The fine just increases.
Right.
It's not, I mean, if it gets to a point where the city wants to consider pulling a business license because they're such a public nuisance, that's a different step. That's not a circuit court action. That's an action by the powers that.
All right, and what would it take for us to go that step?
You have to have somebody with the background, like somebody from Safe Built go in there and say that there's some issues with the building that are so great that causes a public nuisance, it's a danger to the community. Could be structural, could be electrical,
But
mechanical.
it has to be the facility itself, not the way that they maintain it.
Not merely blight per se.
Okay, but we do keep hitting them up with an increasing blight.
Well, that's an ordinance. If it's certain times, they get certain tickets within a certain amount of time,
Right.
the price goes up.
All right, well, I certainly hope that they're gonna be jacking up those tickets, because this is nonstop. We hear it all the time.
Well, we get the complaints, we get the tickets. If they show up to court, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Okay,
It's an issue.
thank you.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few things. A couple of them deal with some statements that was made during this council meeting. One, the snow removal contractors, even though the city can't say that we support certain ones, I think it would be a good idea if a list was printed somewhere for residents, even if it was like printed in the Insider, because all the residents get that publication. Even though we can't really support one over another. So if it was some way that we can post that for residents to see. Another one is the CCI building, which is the College and Career Institute. There's some concerns from the citizens about the use of the CCI building beyond educational purposes. The CCI building is part of the Harperwood School District, which is a completely separate entity from the city council. So what the school district does with that building and however they run that building is something that really should be brought to the school board rather than to the city council. Because that is completely, we are completely two separate things, even though, you know, we all deal with the residents, but the school district is separate, and how they run their school buildings is completely separate. You know, we really don't have the say-so on those. So if there's concerns with the CCI building and what they're doing, that really, really should be brought to the school board. And I think the school board meeting, the next one is tomorrow. Okay, so. Virtual workshop. Okay, so that really should be brought to them because that's one of their buildings that they run. And my last thing was, there was a statement about the Airbnbs from a gentleman about an issue being with African Americans. I do take offense to that because African Americans are not the only ones who own B&Bs or run B&Bs. Caucasians and other races do too. And to single out African Americans as the problem, I take offense to that because it's not African Americans that are the problems. It may be the African Americans that own that B&B may be the problem. And so I think that's all I've got.
Madam, to Ms. Regina, Councilwoman Regina
Williams.
that they did come out with a statement from the school board just before I came to the meeting that answered a whole bunch of sequence of questions that they had to ask about, you know, why they could use it and what are the rates for it and that type of thing. So it has been addressed, and I think they've answered all. They've done a thorough job of answering the questions.
Okay, so I didn't get that unless it came.
I spoke to the superintendent, and he clarified a lot of things about it, but as you said, there's two separate entities, and we as city council have no jurisdiction over whatever happens with the school district. But Mr. McGee did call me to address the concerns and explained a great deal, and I'm sure he will explain all of that tomorrow at the school board meeting, should it arise.
Madam Mayor?
Councilwoman Pies.
I just wanted to add something regarding the population and the census and population threshold. Council did pass a resolution in May, I believe it was May 20th, last year, that we sent to our legislators because we were concerned about the census count and that we might be going over the 15,000 threshold. To my knowledge, we didn't receive any kind of a response to that. I don't recall it, but we did anticipate it, and we did send the letter out, and they were to our legislators. Just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Well, also, to address that, we also had a Plan B, and that would be that we would go to our residents to request a millage for the police and fire. So that was Plan B, and, you know, so if it's not passed, then that would be something that we would look into, because until we have more revenue coming into the city, it is still a needed fact. So, and as well as we're looking forward to the Eastland project, it will not be up and running until '23, most likely. Although we will be getting taxes for that land, it would not be the kind of taxes that we'll get once it's fully operational. So, in saying that, we do still have the need for the millage, for the police and fire. Okay, So with no other further comments, we will need to adjourn for the budget session.
Madam
And
Mayor?
it's open.
Oh, sorry. I jumped the gun.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay.
I was
you
making
go-
I was making the motion, but I think
Okay.
I jumped the gun. Sorry about that.
All right. The budget session is open to the public. So if we have more than 4 people, we would just stay here. And if not, we will move to the conference room.
You need a motion.
So I need a motion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to adjourn to budget session.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then, so we adjourn for the budget session.